I know what you're thinking.
How's it going, moviegoers? Welcome back to the Movie Magnum Podcast, and today we're going to talk about a classic. And I know I stand alone on this one when I say I think this classic is kind of boring. Blade Runner 1982, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Harrison Ford. Yeah, I know I stand alone, and I know everyone's going to tell me that either I don't get the movie or it's a movie for smart people and all that. No, I've heard these comments before. But look, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm not. It's a good movie. It's very well made, okay? And it's understandable why people like it. But here's my question to you. Why do you like it? I guarantee 9 times out of 10, if you ask someone why do they like Blade Runner, the first things they're going to say are the cinematography, the visual effects and CGI, the set design, the costumes, the music, the tone, all visuals. And don't get me wrong, these visuals are amazing. They've obviously inspired countless number of movies and TV shows and graphic novels, so on and so forth. And yeah, totally get why. But do you know what you almost never hear first? Story and characters. Now, they might come later when people explain why they like the movie, but those are most rarely ever mentioned first. And the reason why is because the protagonist of this movie, Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, he's really boring and just uninterested, and most importantly, he's unmotivated to be there. Why is he taking this mission? Why is he going after the androids? You know, early in the movie they say something like, if you're not cop, you're little people. Well, what the hell does that mean? If you're not a cop, you're nobody? Or if you're not a cop, then you have no purpose? Or whatnot? Because you're a cop, you can do whatever you want? I mean, it's never really explained, and he has no motivation to be there. Why? Why is he going after the androids? Because it's his job? What happens if he doesn't go after the androids? You know, what does he lose as a character? What does he gain as a character? You know, what's his emotional attachment to the outcome of this story? Those questions are not answered, and because of that, he has no story. He's not really a protagonist, and most of the time he spends the movie just in his apartment looking at pictures and kind of being moody. And then he questions a few people, and yeah, then he gets his butt kicked constantly by pretty much everyone. And that's it. He's just not an interesting character, and I don't care for him. I don't know if we're supposed to care for him. Now, some people will say, well, he's an android. So what? Who cares if he's an android? That doesn't change the fact that he still has no motivation. I mean, even if he's an android and he thinks he's human, then what's his programmed motivation? Even then, we still don't care for him. He's just there. He's just doing his job. So why should I care for him? I mean, when you really think about it, the androids, they're not a threat. What, they're slaves? They're going to be dead in 2 years anyway, because that's how long their life expectancy is. So why should we fear for them? They're not going out raising hell and committing acts of terror. They just want to live normal, boring lives as human beings. They just want to work, and that's it. Quite frankly, I care more for them than I care for Deckard, and maybe that's the point. Maybe the whole point is to care more for the androids. Okay, if we're supposed to care for the androids, then why the hell are we spending any time with Deckard? In most movies, Deckard would be like a nameless henchman, just a gun for hire that just shows up to shoot at the good guys. But for some reason, he's the protagonist in this. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, when you look at Roy, played by Rutger Hauer, who, by the way, spectacular in this movie. Absolutely spectacular. He's got sort of like this Frankenstein monster, complex where he's going after his maker, who's the head of the Tyrell Corporation. He's going to kill him basically to either to find his purpose or just to free himself from, slavery. Obviously, he's the good guy. He's the one we should be following this whole movie. So because of that, because Deckard and Harrison Ford, because he has no motivation to be there, and I have no emotional attachment to it because he has no emotional attachment to his own mission, he's just boring, he's uninteresting, and therefore the whole movie becomes boring. Because we got to follow him around for the most of the film, and he's just meaningless and pointless. So, in my honest opinion, what they should have done is they should have made a very clear motivation for him, where maybe he accidentally terminated a human being that he thought was an android after he gave him a test. Or maybe he gave a test to an android, thought it was human, the android got away, and then killed another human being. So therefore he's living with guilt. If he was living with this guilt and this sort of this void in his heart, then you would have a motivation to go after the androids. You would be on this road to redemption, this quest to basically, fix his reputation or sort of ease his pain and his burden of making a mistake. In fact, I would cut out all the unicorn dreams, just have like him having visions of that droid, that android that got away, or the human being that died, either by his own hands or by the hands of the android. See, that would have been much more interesting. See, that would have given that personal motivation to go out there and try to redeem himself. He's making amends for his mistake. He's trying to ease the pain of his soul. That would have been a much more interesting story. But at the very end, you could have this discussion of like, well, yeah, he might be more emotionally motivated, but he's obviously being exploited by the Tyrell Corporation, and he's a slave himself. Which again, they kind of touched upon in the movie, but as the movie as it is, that theme really just falls flat because he's just such an uninteresting protagonist. It would have been much more interesting if at the end of the movie, Roy straps Deckard to the machine and tests him. And then through there, we discover that maybe he's an android. And then suddenly Harrison Ford or Deckard would wake up and realize, oh my God, my emotional motivation, all this emotional pain I've been going through has been faked. Everything's a fake. Everything about my life is a fake. My entire motivation to go after the androids is a fake. I've been a tool this entire time. See, that would have been much more amazing, much more just an incredible, compelling ending. If this emotional pain he's been feeling this entire time had been just implanted in him and had been faked the entire time. That would have made this movie so much more amazing. Plus, I think they should have spent less time with him in an apartment looking at pictures. I mean, it would have been much more interesting if he just literally just went out and hunted down each and every one of them, and there were some action, and a little bit more action. I mean, there kind of are some action scenes, but God, so much of the movie is just him in an apartment looking at pictures and just being moody. It's just not interesting. So, anyway, those are my thoughts. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, and that's fine. Look, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me what I'm missing. Comment below. Subscribe. By the way, in the description, there's a link to the Movie Magnum Magazine website where we have an article about this very same topic. So feel free to comment. Feel free to share. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and until then, be cool, stay cool.